Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome again, everyone. My name's Alex. I'm a member of our user education team here at Everlaw. And today we're going to be covering all of the new features that went out in our latest Everlaw release that was on April 15th, 2026. We have quite a few features to go through. I've split them up into a couple different sections. First, we'll start with those admin-focused features. So here's an example of a few of those. We have some global object access permissions, which will be an exciting update to how you can access different objects around the platform. Some API updates as usual with our releases. Additionally, there are a few reviewer features as well, some around our fact timelines and importing things, and a few other visual changes that we'll go over too. As we go throughout this session, feel free to ask any questions that you have about these features using that Q&A on the right-hand side. My colleague Carrie will be here answering those questions in the chat, and then we'll have some time to talk about them out loud if we need to after the fact as well. So let's jump right on in with our first feature, that global object access. So this is a really exciting new feature for us that allows you to grant permissions to all shareable objects in the project at the same time. So if you're a project administrator, you can go to your project settings. One of those new settings will be this global object access. You can see there's a few different options here: view, edit, or full. And this will pertain to all of those shareable objects in the project. So that's things like search term reports, binders, predictive coding models, story builder drafts, all of those things that you would click share and send them to another user. You can just do that up front if you need to for everyone in your project. So by default, these are going to be turned off for new and existing projects. So if you want to change that, make those updates in your project settings. Of course, if you're using a template and you make this update, then it would be templatized for new projects that you make for your own organization. Once you do this, it does create a global view from your homepage. So you can have your homepage with the things that are organized and favorited on your own page. And then you can click on over to that global view to see everything that is available in the project too. A couple things to keep in mind with this. If you have some of these other features set to none in advance, so if you had story builder, assignment groups, predictive coding models, or search term reports set to none permissions before you made this update, those users would then switch over to receive when you update their global object access. You'll get a warning like this that pops up, so nothing will be a surprise, but it's just going to let you know that a few of those permissions will be changed as well. Also, if you remove the global object access for a user or remove a user from a group that has global object access, they will lose access to those items. So unless they were specifically shared with them previously, they will not be able to access those items anymore if you remove their access this way. Okay. Next up, we have a few updates to processed uploads. Previously, if you were going to do a process upload in your database, you would need to have an unzipped folder to drag that over into the process uploader. Now you're able to select a zip file as well. So you can drag that over or select it from the browse, choose the folder or file. Once you drag that in, you will be prompted for a password if necessary, so you can include the password for that zip file if you need to. One additional update with this is you can also change the upload folder for your load file. So if you have maybe edited the load file a little bit and now it's stored somewhere outside of the folder that has your process documents in it, you can direct the uploader to that additional upload folder that has the load file in it too. So those will all be available as you're clicking through the process uploader. One additional feature around uploads is Some changes to our metadata overlays. So there are a few new identity fields other than the base and control numbers that we've had previously that are supported for additional field types. So that when you're doing a metadata overlay, you can now use these other field types to find the documents that you need to do overlays for. So you can assign these types when you're creating or editing custom metadata fields in the project settings, and then point your overlays to those fields as you usually would. Moving right along, we always have some updates to our API, or we typically do as we're growing these. If you're unfamiliar with an API, this is just a way for computers to talk to each other, basically. So instead of going onto the Everlaw platform and physically clicking the buttons to do what you need to do, you can write a program that can access that information for you. And we have two new endpoints that you can access: the Git organization legal holds and the Git organization custodians. So if you're working with legal holds and you use our API, you'll now be able to retrieve that information using the API. This will be the same information that is available in the legal holds details and the custodian overview exports. So if you've been using those, you can now access them through the API. While we're in that org admin space, there is an update to our Everlaw archive. So currently, now that we've made this update, databases cannot be archived and reactivated more than once in the same month. So this is just a way to make sure that you wouldn't be charged a reactivation fee more than once in a month. We don't think that's very fair if you're just opening in it and maybe you accidentally opened it one more time within that month. So we'll now show that reactivation date for you. And if you have already reactivated it during that month, the archive now button will be disabled. So, of course, if you still need to archive that database again in the future, you can choose to schedule the archive, but it just won't allow you to archive it more than once in a month to avoid that reactivation fee twice. Cool. One more update that's making coding suggestions a little bit easier for you. You can now edit those configurations from the review window or the results table when you're actually viewing the documents with the suggestions. So you can make these while you're looking at the documents, see the configuration, and then go ahead and edit this. Previously, you had to go back to your project settings, then adjust the prompts or the descriptions, and then go back to the documents. So I just wanted to show you what this looks like on the platform as well. Jump back in. Two places to do this on Everlaw now. If I'm looking at a list of documents in my review window, I can use that Everlaw AI button and then select coding suggestions. So this will show me the issues that I have coding suggestions for. I can view that configuration. And then if I have the correct permissions, I can go ahead and configure those permissions straight from here. So if I want to edit my issues description, I'll just click that edit button and I can describe the category, configure the codes, and make these adjustments within the results table instead of going back to my project settings. Alternatively, if I'm looking at an individual document, this will look very similar. I'll use that Everlaw AI button, click into coding suggestions. I can view the configurations and then make those edits from here if needed. Cool. So that wraps up our admin features. I'll pause just for a second if there's any other questions over those before we jump into our reviewer features. We'll continue on then. A couple features that may be helpful for people around other areas of the platform. You can now actually upload a timeline, a fact timeline, or individual facts if you have already used maybe Excel to map out a timeline. You can actually import that and make an Everlaw timeline as well. So I'll show us how to do that. A couple things to note, there is a template that you can use for the import. So when we get onto the platform, you'll be able to see that. You can download that template, make sure that your data matches that, and then upload that into the platform. Or you can also, maybe you need a fact timeline from another project, you can export that fact timeline and then re-import it into a new project or a new story if needed. A couple things here. Some of the inputs will still be manual. So although we can connect the documents you're mentioning by their Bates numbers, the names of the facts, the dates that are associated with them, the relative dates, the people or labels that are around in other areas of StoryBuilder are not yet supported. So keep that in mind. You'll still want to add those when you add individual facts into your timeline. Let's practice this a little bit though. So I'll jump back to my platform. I'll go over to Story Builder here. And then on my left-hand side, I can see my timelines. First, I'll select a new fact timeline. This is how I can import a fact timeline that I've made on Excel. So I'll give this a name. I'll select import. I can go ahead and grab this from my computer. Cool. So that went ahead and created those individual facts, added the description that I had in my spreadsheet, included the date as well. And then a few of these, I think, have some evidence. So if we have documents listed by their Bates numbers or control numbers, we'll go ahead and pull those in for you so you can see them within those facts. So great way, if you've already started making something offline, you can add those fact timelines to StoryBuilder. Additionally, if you're already within a particular fact timeline, you can use the same workflow. Up here next to a new fact, you can go to more options, import facts. This will show you what the format needs to look like, gives you the same options to upload that spreadsheet so you can import facts into a timeline you've already created on Everlaw as well. Okay, let's move on to our next one here. A couple smaller updates for you that can still be really helpful. We've changed how we display edited chats. So if you're working with chat data and there has been the message has been edited within the source data, we'll now make that very visible for you. So we'll see the date that it was edited on, the final text, and also what the original message was as well. If there is any unavailable data in the source text, we will go ahead and say text unknown, so you'll know that was the case. And this is just going to make the viewing of chats a lot more similar to how they are in the source platform. So if you're using Slack, this will kind of mimic what you're used to seeing there. Another helpful update for people using our batch AI actions here, we've increased the number of documents that you can run suggestions and extractions on. So previously that was set at 20,000 documents per batch action. Now you can do 250,000 documents. So this will obviously make it a lot more efficient to run those coding suggestions over large sets of documents or those extractions over large sets of documents. A few additional features that I just wanted to highlight. These may be relevant to anyone working in Everlaw. Um, you can go ahead and update your primary organization if you need to. So under your account settings, you can edit that organization. This is for people who are part of multiple organizations, and if you use single sign-on, the other controlled fields will be displayed, but you won't be able to edit them. So in our screenshot here, the email address that is associated with your single sign-on, you won't be able to edit that, but you can change your primary organization. This is not going to change how you log in. It's not going to change any of the security settings for you. It's just a profile attribute. So you don't have to worry about those pieces, but you can assign your primary organization if you'd like to. If you work with our connectors to upload data, you'll also see a new progress bar and status for those. So this is just kind of a quality of life improvement here. You'll see that processing percentage. You'll see the state that it's in. This is just going to make it a little bit easier if there is any troubleshooting that needs to happen. It can help you understand the timing of your uploads and just give you some more information into how those are processing. I believe this is our last one for this release. We've included the option to see the searchable set from a search term report. So previously, you were able to click and see all of the documents that were in the searchable set plus their attachments. We've actually just separated those out for you. So if you're working in a search term report, you can see the searchable set, then you can optionally see the searchable set with the attachments. So just separated those out for a little bit more ease of use. Okay. I wanted to point out there are a few additional visual updates if those are relevant to you. Again, on the right-hand side in the Docs tab, you'll see the comprehensive release guide. So that will show you any of the visual updates for this month. Take a look at that if you need to. There's a couple small tweaks that we've made as well. But I'll go ahead and stick around if there are any additional questions. In the chat here, we're going to drop a quick survey to let us know how this went for you, if there's some additional updates you'd like to hear about. But thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate your time here and hope to see you at our next month's release training as well.